Are you okay?
I feel like I was just dragged through 3 miles of thorny undergrowth.
Oh, I'm sure it'll pass. Either way, we don't have time for you to just lie there. Get up!
I just felt the full fury of Franziska von Karma. Please give me a sec to recover, Maya. There.
So, we're good to go? What's the plan, Nick?
First of all, we're going to go back to the detention center and have a chat with Mike. We can't have him hide anything else from us. After that, it's back to the regiment to see what we can find about Captain Harvey and his possible motives for suicide. Maybe get some first aid for my wounds, too.
Then that's what we shall do.
We're going to have to keep our eyes and ears open today. There's no telling what will happen in tomorrow's trial. So we'd better be prepared for anything. Oh, and note to self, invest in that suit of armor.
Hello again, you two.
Mr. November, we need to talk.
I suppose we do. Listen, I'm sorry for the hassle in court.
You must understand that defending your case against Prosecutor von Karma is hard enough without you withholding critical details. We need your full cooperation, Mike. It's your life that's on the line here. Apologizing isn't going to do you much good if you're found guilty.
Look, I was afraid, alright? I thought if I had told you that my locker was full of explosive materials, you would have thought I was guilty for sure. I knew it was a thing I should have told you about. But I was feeling desperate, and I didn't want to risk you not taking my case. I would have stood no chance otherwise.
It would have been nice to know! That is exactly the kind of thing we need to be prepared to explain!
I know. I know. I won't keep anything vital from you anymore.
Anything vital? I wonder if that includes what he's hiding behind those psyche locks. It's worth a shot, but I should ask him about other things before poking the hornet's nest. There are a couple of details that I'd like you to shed some more light on then. You said that you learned the date of Captain Harvey's absolution day while packing for the camp on Saturday. That was only 2 days before the actual date.
Yeah, that's true.
Considering how few people went to meet Captain Harvey in the end, I'm gonna go ahead and guess the date of his absolution day wasn't exactly public knowledge, was it?
We all knew that it was coming soon, because the man couldn't shut up about getting promoted to major and the like. But as you guessed, Captain Harvey didn't give us the chance to make reservations. Only the engineer company staff knew the actual date. But even so, the vast majority of the officers would have no choice but to attend the camp. According to our pre-camp briefing, the schedules for signals and engineering would be extremely strict, and all officers would have their hands full from day one. They simply couldn't afford to stay, lest the whole camp be a fiasco for the entire regiment.
But if the exact date was staff-only information, how did you find out about it?
You didn't hear this from me, but Staff Sergeant Tennant let us know when he was supervising us packing the stuff. It went something like this. When you get back from the camp, men, you'll return to your brand new regiment. A regiment without that rock-face Harvey. Even though you won't have the chance to verbally tear him a new one, do not despair. I will do so for every single one of you on Monday. I'm not sure if he meant to slip the day, but it didn't matter much at that point. The rest of us privates would be returning on Sunday evening, and there wouldn't be enough time for the word to get around.
Huh, so it really was just a coincidence.
Funny, I thought it would have been Lieutenant Victoria who told you.
I did ask her about the date, but she couldn't tell me. I guess because she works directly under Harvey, and it would have landed her in serious trouble.
I guess that's understandable then.
You've often said you were Harvey's private of choice to Hayes. Do you have any idea why Captain Harvey got on your case?
Probably because I'm sorta ham-fisted. Captain Harvey was constantly driving us to work harder, faster, and to achieve better results, so he could show off to the brass how great and amazing a leader he was. Unfortunately, I tended to always be the last person to complete any given task not involving demolitions, so he soon learned my name and face. To be honest, I don't think I'm that bad at a lot of things. I just take my time to make sure they're done well. Regardless, I think he wanted to smoke me out of the Corps, but with support from the rest of the company, I've found the strength to keep going.
I'm glad to hear that. Mr. November, could we talk about your meeting with Captain Harvey?
What do you want to know?
A few things. You said that Captain Harvey was intoxicated when you saw him on Absolution Day. What made you think so?
I could smell the alcohol in his breath. His speech was also somewhat slurred and his movements sluggish. I just presumed that he had been drinking for a while.
It still seems strange to me somehow. So, about your fingerprints on the kill switch.
I admit, that was a bit of an overkill.
A bit? Yeah! What were you thinking?
Harvey wasn't too pleased to see me in the state he was in. One thing led to another, and soon enough insults and objects were being hurled, mostly towards me. He even threw his drink at me.
That would explain why the broken drinking glass was found by the door. Sounds like you two were having quite the brawl.
Yeah, we might have ended up at each other's throats if it hadn't been for that phone call.
Wait, somebody called the Iron Chamber?
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that. Someone called Harvey's desk phone about 5 minutes after I had entered the Iron Chamber. It was a really brief call, and after that, Captain Harvey told me to return to my post at once.
Do you remember any of the conversation?
Let me think.
What? Yeah, the sob's here. Yeah. Hell called. They want you to go back to your post, November. Get out of my sight, or I'll send you back there myself.
That's how I remember it went.
Do you have any idea who the caller was?
I'm not sure. I couldn't really make out who was on the other end of the line, but I'd wager it was either Dr. Siegfried or Lieutenant Victoria. They were the ones who saw the note I left anyway.
So, this phone call was your cue to leave. And that's when you pulled the electricity kill switch?
Yeah, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I was steaming after what he said, and I felt that Captain Harvey would benefit from a moment of quiet self-reflection. So I locked him in. Of course, I expected Lieutenant Victoria to put the power back on when her turn to visit Harvey came around.
But how did you know that cutting the power would trap him?
The whole engineer company knew about that switch. Earlier this year, some poor guy had tested it out after visiting Captain Harvey. And afterwards, Harvey made it damn sure to drill into our heads that locking him in again would bring sanctions to everyone. He was rescued by another officer that time, so we weren't let in on the backup generators.
It sounds reasonable enough. Now, time to stop beating around the bush. Mr. November, you promised to give your cooperation. So I ask again, what did you discuss with Captain Harvey?
Mr. Wright, I know I promised to tell you everything, but that is a private matter, and again, not relevant to the case. What we talked about has no meaning to this trial or effect on your work, unless you are looking for a motive for me killing Captain Harvey. And considering you're my defense attorney, you should steer clear from such things. The prosecution doesn't know or care, and if you cannot show me incontrovertible evidence that this is somehow tied to Harvey's death, I will not feel obliged to disclose anything.
Looks like a dead end. Very well. I understand. Nevertheless, it was something that made you and Captain Harvey fight fiercely. Still, I have to ask, do you think it's possible that Captain Harvey committed suicide based on your discussion?
It's possible, but I hate to say it, but I don't think I believe in the suicide theory.
Why not?
Harvey was not the type of person to see suicide as an option. He was not depressed, regretful, or tormented. In fact, he seemed overjoyed with his promotion. It just doesn't make sense to me.
But then, what do you think happened?
I don't even know anymore. If it wasn't a suicide, it must have been a murder. Who did it, or why? I have no idea. All I know for sure is that I had nothing to do with it.
This case is certainly something else. I think this is all we needed to know for now, Mr. November. Thank you for helping us.
It's the least I can do. I hope you can make sense of things, so we all can get some answers.
We'll do our best.
Indeed. It's time to head back to the regiment to question the staff some more and see if we can find more ammo for tomorrow's trial.
Attention! This is Captain Iban Ragna of the Allied Nations Peacekeeping Corps. This compound is a restricted area, and taking photographs or loitering in its vicinity is a criminal offense. All violators will be arrested and prosecuted. This is your last warning. Vacate the premises immediately. I repeat, this is your last warning. Vacate the premises immediately. To those of you representing the media, the regiment will issue an official statement on the investigation in due time. There will be no exclusives. I repeat, disperse immediately or you will be arrested and your equipment will be confiscated.
They've really brought up the security here since yesterday.
The media seems to have a newfound interest in this case at least. Or it might have something to do with a certain someone I know trying to scale the fence yesterday.
Oh, come on, Nick! That chain link fence was just begging for someone to grab onto it and climb over.
Yes, a perfectly normal thought to have. For a chimpanzee. Luckily, we're free to come and go as we please thanks to our keycards.
And you two had better not lose them. The last thing we need here is more security issues to deal with.
Ah, Captain Renard.
In the flesh. Back to investigate, are you?
Yes, sir! There's plenty of things left to do here.
Very well. I do have to say, I am surprised to see you return. I did not expect the trial to last another day.
Don't worry, sir. Nick usually takes an additional day or two to get the acquittal.
It's not that. I expected Private November to be found guilty, to be honest.
Excuse me, what?
Don't take it too personally. Why, any sane person would think he did it, don't you agree? The evidence speaks for itself.
I have full faith in Private November, sir.
Of course you do. I guess it remains to be seen just how long your faith will take you.
Hey, Nick! We have the security chief at our disposal. Maybe we should ask some questions?
Right. Could we take a moment of your time, Captain?
It would appear that the vultures of the media took the hint. I can spare a moment, but keep it brief.
Great, thank you.
What can you tell us about the victim, Captain Janice Harvey?
He was the head of the engineer company.
Is there anything else you could tell us?
What can I say? I don't keep tabs on every single officer in the regiment. What I know of the man, I have learned from reading his profile and service record.
Neat! Can we see them?
Absolutely not. You are not authorized to even be in the same room with them.
What if I gave you a pretty smile and please?
In that case, I should consider arresting you for attempted bribery of an officer.
Better not try then.
So there's really nothing you could tell us?
I didn't know Captain Harvey as a person. The only information I have on him is from reading his personal files when processing his promotion.
So you knew about his promotion as well?
Naturally. As the security chief, I need to be aware of all changes in the regiment's chain of command. Promotions also include some practical tasks that fall on the regiment's security forces, such as pre-transferal searches and packing.
And this is all part of normal protocol?
Yes. I had a security team perform a meticulous search, make a list of all the items in Captain Harvey's office but a day before his death, to make sure no regiment property would be transferred with him. A shame it turned out to be a waste of time.
A list of Harvey's stuff? We could use that!
I do not have it with me now, and unfortunately I need to be leaving for a meeting. I submitted the list to the police, so you may ask them for that, if you really want to see it before the trial.
If that list has found its way into Francisca's hands, I'm pretty sure she won't give it up without a fight. And she has a whip. What would I even do? Throw paper and sneeze at her?
Hey! Earth to Nick! While you were spacing out, Captain Renard took his leave!
Oh, drat! On the bright side, he didn't seem too eager to share information with us in the first place. Anyway, if we want to learn anything about Harvey's personality, we should talk to the person working closest to him, Lieutenant Victoria.
I hope she isn't still mad at you.
I sure pray we don't have to re-experience what happened in court this morning.
Mr. Wright and Miss Fay.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Afternoon to you as well. It is not a habit of mine to stay silent about things I feel need to be said, so please excuse my bluntness. Your performance in court today was lacking, to put it mildly.
But Nick did his best.
We were at a heavy disadvantage there.
I am fully aware of that. I am more upset because you stalled at a critical moment. We are not playing games here, Mr. Wright. You do understand that the fate of the rest of Mike's life is in your hands, don't you?
I do, Lieutenant. I fully understand my responsibility, but bickering will not help our situation.
I am merely expressing my discontent. I trust my message has gotten across by now, however. How can I be of further assistance to you?
We have some questions we'd like to ask you.
By all means, go ahead.
Something that's caught my eye is that you're very interested in this trial. According to Mr. November, the two of you have quite a warm relationship.
I do hope you haven't gotten any particular ideas. Mike is my protege first and foremost. When it comes to demolitions, he has a natural talent. And for his weaknesses in other areas, he makes up with pure motivation. He is a man who never gives up, and neither should you. Naturally, the prospect of having my star student found guilty of something he didn't do upsets me.
I don't mean to be rude or anything, but how can you be so sure about his innocence?
For the same reasons as you, I'd wager. Do we not trust other people to tell us the truth when we ask them to? I have spent enough time with Mike to get to know his character. He is honest and extremely conscientious. If he says that he didn't kill Captain Harvey, then I will not be the one to question his innocence.
Fair enough. Still, the amount of dedication slightly perplexes me. What can you tell us about Captain Harvey?
Captain Harvey. He was the leader of the company and my direct superior. He was also a ruthless man preoccupied with his own status and a generally unpleasant person to be around. His methods did, however, produce results, even if he didn't win anyone's hearts over with them. Even though I was effectively second in command, Captain Harvey kept the strings tightly in his own hands and called all the shots. He didn't even let me decide the time of our last meeting on Absolution Day. Can you believe it?
Second in command? Does that make you officially the person in charge now that Captain Harvey is gone?
Yes, that does make me the de facto leader of the engineer company, though Harvey's death didn't speed up the process by much. He was going to be transferred away, and a new leader for the company would have been needed regardless. Not to mention I was practically doing all of his work, while he spent his time idling and harassing privates.
That sounds really unfair! Why didn't you do anything about it?
It is unfair, but delegating tasks is not illegal. Orders are orders. If I had had the choice, I would have left for our field training camp with the others, but Harvey ordered me to stay and get his transferal paperwork out of the way for him. A task I was almost happy to oblige with. It was my intention to bring him the finished documents on Absolution Day, but I never got the chance. He took his own life before that.
So you believe that Captain Harvey committed suicide?
If Mike didn't kill him, then that's a logical alternative, isn't it? Need I remind you that it was me who subtly suggested that during the trial's most crucial moment?
Yeah, I could hardly forget. Do you have any idea what might have driven him to kill himself?
I have a hunch. Captain Harvey received word of his promotion near the end of February, and rushed to schedule his Absolution Day to be on the earliest possible day, March 4th, a mere week later. Conveniently for him, the timing also overlapped the beginning of our field training camp, so he would have to deal with almost no negative feedback.
He sure was in a hurry to get out.
Clearly, he was absolutely overjoyed and boasting to everyone about his promotion. At first.
At first? What happened?
All of a sudden, Captain Harvey grew paranoid and withdrew into the iron chamber, hardly ever coming out. Perhaps he was afraid that someone might jeopardize his chance to rise in the ranks. Or maybe he realized that he was ill-prepared for his new duties, since I was the one doing all of his truly challenging tasks.
What if it had been revealed that you were the one doing all the work?
That would definitely have been bad news for Harvey, but I suppose it doesn't matter anymore.
I'd best make note of this. So, according to you, he might have committed suicide out of fear of being exposed.
Yes, exposed. For being an unskilled leader.
Say we were to rule out suicide as an option. Could the explosion have been a result of an accident?
It was no accident.
Sorry?
Oh, I meant to say that if Harvey's death had been a mere freak accident, the police would have noticed right away. Clean pressure explosions like this just don't happen. Someone had the intention of killing Captain Harvey, and I can only see it as being Harvey himself.
I see. So you believe there's no way it could have been a murder?
I trust in every person who met with Captain Harvey on Absolution Day, but there is a nominal possibility that the keycard logs are not complete.
Oh!
Now this is getting interesting.
Don't get your hopes up too high. I am just saying that there exists a possibility that Captain Harvey may have deleted a part of the logs. They were temporarily stored on his computer's hard drive after all. He used to delete my logs all the time when I brought him the reports he had made and such.
This is crucial information. It could mean that there may have been an unlisted visitor. Or even that Harvey left the iron chamber at some point.
I'm afraid that both are very unlikely scenarios. You can only delete the logs of other people's keycards, not your own. Had Captain Harvey left and returned, we could have seen it from the logs. Another thing is that you can only delete, not modify the information in any way. Additionally, the deletion must happen locally at the computer where the data is stored, which naturally requires authentication. In the case of the iron chamber, that would have been Captain Harvey's PC. The only way to delete the logs was literally by Harvey's own hand.
You are referring to the fingerprint lock, right?
Exactly. It just does not make sense to me.
This is very valuable information in either case. Thank you for telling us.
You're welcome. Just try not to get sidetracked by it. The murder weapon is a far more important factor in this incident.
Speaking of that, can you tell us anything about the explosive that went off in the iron chamber?
Now we're talking. I haven't been to the crime scene myself, but as we know, Harvey's death was caused by a pressure explosive. Pressure explosives can be utilized in demolitions tasks, but also on anti-personnel concussion grenades. Their lethality is based primarily on the pressure shockwave they give off when they explode. Outdoors, their lethality is greatly diminished, but in enclosed spaces such as the iron chamber, they are very lethal.
How hard would it be to create one?
It's a fairly simple build if you know what you are doing, but it takes some skill and materials. As Prosecutor Von Karma put it, the only viable suspects are those with the know-how: Mike, Harvey, and I.
Mike told us that someone called the iron chamber when he was there, and suspected it was either you or Dr. Siegfried. So, was it you?
No, that must have been Dr. Siegfried. After finishing my lunch, I took a stroll to the barracks to see how things were going there. I found Dr. Siegfried by Mike's post, and he showed me the note Mike had left. I still cannot believe he would disobey orders like that. I decided to wait with him until Mike finally showed up around 12:20, just when Dr. Siegfried told me he was going to call Captain Harvey's office. Dr. Siegfried should be at the regiment's hospital if you want to hear his side of things.
Great, thanks!
Thank you for all your help, Lieutenant.
You are most welcome.
I guess we'll have to talk to Dr. Siegfried again then. Ooh, this is a nice place.
Looks like our doctor isn't in at the moment, though.
You know what they say, Nick. When the cat's away, the mice look for decisive evidence.
I suppose we can take a look around. Just don't break anything. We wouldn't want to overstay our welcome. Difficult-looking medical books stand in a formidable row. They mock me. They outmatch my legal books in size and number. Luckily, I don't have to understand any of them.
I wonder what's in these. Let's find out. Nick! I think I might have caught Cocoonus australis!
Huh? But you haven't even shown symptoms of having anything!
That's what worries me! It says here that in the beginning there are no symptoms!
Not to worry, Miss Fay. That parasite is only endemic to Australian wetlands. You should be safe.
Hello, Dr. Siegfried.
Doing a little independent studying, are we? That's all right. Admittedly, it would be more polite to wait for the owner of the book to return from his rounds and ask him permission first.
I'm sorry.
No harm done. Go ahead and keep reading if you wish. I doubt you two are here for a routine checkup, though. What can I do for you?
We'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
By all means, ask away.
You were the first person to visit Captain Harvey on Absolution Day. Can you tell us more about your meeting?
I don't know what to tell you, really. Our meeting was more about practical arrangements than feedback.
What kind of arrangements?
We had to discuss some things related to his health. I'm afraid I cannot go into detail due to patient-doctor confidentiality. I'm sure that as a lawyer, you know that confidentiality doesn't end at death. However, I have received a court order to testify about it tomorrow, the only time I am able to disclose this information.
Guess we'll have to wait until tomorrow then for those details. We're now pursuing suicide as a possible cause of death for Harvey. Do you believe it's plausible that he took his own life?
All things considered, I am inclined to give a careful yes. He did seem rather anxious and uneasy throughout our conversation. I had never seen him act like that before. Although the lack of a suicide note is troubling. I'm sure he'd try to have the last word, even in death.
How well did you know Captain Harvey?
He was a regular patient of mine, but we kept chit-chat to a minimum. What I know of his true colors I've heard from Lieutenant Victoria.
Speaking of her, you two seem to know each other pretty well.
That's true. Irene and I go all the way back to our shared alma mater, the Allied Nations Military Academy.
But you're a doctor. How come you studied in a military academy?
The AN Academy offers a rigorous integrated course in general, crisis, and disaster medicine. That's something I always aimed to specialize in, so it fit right up my alley. It's a funny story how we two met. I was on my 4th year and had been assigned as a co-instructor on a first aid course for the engineering freshmen. However, there was an odd number of participants on the course, and one of them was left without a pair for the practicals. That girl happened to be Irene. So I paired up with her for that afternoon, and the next afternoon, and the afternoon after that. We got to know each other pretty well during the course, and found out we enjoyed each other's company. We've been friends ever since. Both of us are passionate about helping people in our own ways. I heal the ailed, and she demolishes the obstacles of a brighter future. In the end, fate would have us both assigned here in the same regiment. I certainly am not complaining.
Let's return to the events of Absolution Day. Did you call the Iron Chamber at any point?
I did. When I found Mike's note, I immediately called Captain Harvey's office and asked him to send Private November back.
Why?
What would you have done? We had a man desert his guard duties to sneak off for an unscheduled meeting. It might not seem like a big deal, but that kind of behavior is simply not acceptable. I had promised Mike his due time with Harvey after Irene's meeting, so it's just a question of impatience. Then again, I guess we're all a little guilty of impatience. I tried calling Harvey again just moments later to make sure he had sent Mike off, but the line seemed to have gone dead.
He must have tried calling the office after Mike pulled the kill switch.
Luckily, he came back soon enough.
What did you do after Private November returned then?
I left Irene to handle the situation and went back to the hospital. I was just starting my rounds when I heard the alarm siren go off in the distance.
Hey! Look, Nick! On the windowsill! Tiny horse sculptures! Oh, they're so cute!
Please be careful with My Little Ponies, Miss Fay. They are rather fragile.
Arranged like this, it almost looks as if the rainbow-colored one is on trial.
Huh. This is giving me the strangest case of déjà vu. Nah, that's just silly. As if a pony would ever need an attorney.
Everything okay, Nick? You've been staring at the arrangement awfully long.
I'm fine. Just appreciating the art. And there's a whole lot of it, too. Where have you gotten all this from?
Oh, I made all of it myself. Sculpting is a hobby of mine.
Wow, that's really amazing.
I suppose I am somewhat skilled with my hands. It's funny how plaster can be used both for casts and works of art. I should show you sometime. Ah, that's my pager. I'm afraid I'm needed elsewhere for now.
Thank you for your time, Doctor. You've been very helpful.
That's what I like to hear. You keep up the good work, too.
Off he goes.
You can put that book away now.
It was an interesting read, for sure! Did you know that a tapeworm can grow up to 10 meters long inside your guts?
Fascinating, but not very helpful to our case.
Don't say that! Maybe one day tapeworms end up being decisive evidence.
That will be the day I officially quit. Anyway, we might benefit from another visit to the crime scene. Let's head there next.
63580.
Hey there, Detective Gumshoe!
Ah! You're mistaken, pal. Nothing but us cardboard boxes here.
We can still see you. Your frame doesn't quite fit to hide there.
Fine.
Why are you trying to hide from us?
Well, I don't know. Every time I talk to you, my salary ends up getting sliced.
I'm sorry, Detective.
The fault's not entirely in you, pal. It's not like I have much left to lose, so I might as well go all in. What do you want?
Poor Gumshoe.
Have you uncovered anything new, Detective?
I've learned that Miss Von Karma has a berserk mode, at least.
This was a murder! Find the evidence that proves it!
I see.
The poor guys at the scene are going through the place with a microscope for the 5th time, I think. We also have a team of officers piecing together any documents shredded by the explosion. Ms. Von Karma's leaving no stone unturned. She even ordered a new autopsy report.
Sounds like it's gonna be a tough day in court tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck. You're gonna need it, pal.
How are things going with the mystery box?
I'm up at 63581.
Whoa! Did you sleep at all last night?
Not a blink. I stayed up all night trying the combinations.
Okay, Detective, that's a little bit too obsessive. Maybe you should hand that box to us for a while.
No way, pal. This has become personal now. Dick Gumshoe will not be beaten by some hunk of metal. I will have that raise.
For Detective Gumshoe's sanity, I really hope there's something worthwhile inside. Mind if we go take a look at the scene?
Each and every one of you owes me for this oversight. I will not tolerate a single more instance of foolishness.
It's your funeral, pal.
On second thought, I don't think we need to see the scene again after all.
Yeah, me neither.
We'll come back later if we have to. For now, let's go look for information elsewhere. Perhaps Lieutenant Victoria can be of assistance again.
Hey look, Nick! Where'd that ladder come from?
Maya, it's clearly a stepladder.
So what's the difference?
I'll tell you the difference, maggots! That is neither a ladder nor a stepladder! That particular piece of equipment is an Allied Nations issued tactical wall scaling device, ANITWS! Thanks to you two nosy reporters I got to spend last night in those godforsaken woods! I hope you're happy.
Sir, we're not reporters! If you would just listen—
I am speaking now!
We were just on our way to see Lieutenant Victoria.
Yeah? Tough luck, cause the lass ain't here. The cops came and took her down to precinct for some Q&A.
Oh.
Hey, Nick! We haven't really had a proper conversation with Staff Sergeant Tennant yet, have we?
Oh no! You think you could get a special interview or some crap like that? Dream on, son, cause Lieutenant ain't saying a word.
But you just—
Not a word!
Oh, great.
Maybe we can show him something that'll get us on the same wavelength.
Staff Sergeant Tennant, please take a look at this.
Are you trying to impress me with that pathetic little button? Now these are a real man's medals.
And this is a genuine attorney's badge. My badge.
Not reporters then after all, I see. You're not thinking of suing me, are you, son?
No need to worry. We're Private Mike November's defense team. I'm Phoenix Wright, and this is my lovely assistant, Maya Fey.
You're the one who's trying to get the kid off the hook. Well, why didn't you say so in the first place?
Maybe now we can get more information and less decibel out of them. We'd like to have a word with you.
Shoot.
We heard you saw Captain Harvey on Absolution Day. Can you tell us more about your meeting with him?
Hey, how the hell did you know that?
Weren't you at the trial? The list of Harvey's visitors was brought up several times.
Oh, I was going to attend, but I got a bit carried away during my orienteering practice and ended doing a half marathon. Not because I got lost or anything, no sir!
Uh-huh.
But yeah, you were asking me about my meeting with Rockface Harvey. It was a tough choice, but instead of going to camp, I chose to stay and give Harvey what he was trying so hard to avoid. That no-good pompous tread.
I guess you two weren't too close either?
That's a laugh. The guy was constantly harassing me and my men, coming down and acting all high and mighty when we were training. Difference between me and Harvey is that I only shout to my troops when shouting is needed, believe it or not. Now, I'm a guy with high standards, but Harvey pushed us all to the very limits of our sanity. But he had more rank than me, so all I could really do was tell the guys to grit their teeth and roll with it.
What of November?
Oh, that poor sob. Harvey couldn't find anything that displeased him. He'd always turn in November and point out some menial thing that the kid had done wrong. Think he even made up a couple. Granted, November ain't no miracle kid to work with, but he always gives his best. At least I damn well hope he does. Anyway, on Monday, I was at the Iron Chamber at 1100 hours sharp, but Dr. Siegfried took his sweet-ass time talking with a cap. I swear the guy needs to be taught a lesson in efficiency. Once I finally got in, I began giving Harvey a little lecture on leadership. He'd even left my own ears ringing for a while.
Did you notice anything strange?
Like what? I didn't pay much attention to anything apart from the look of rage on his face. Priceless, I say. Why, I wish there was a medal I could get from that.
You have pretty many of them as is.
What are you saying? A man can never have too much chest candy. That's why I left to train on my orienteering skills straight after lunch. I still need to earn the medals for it.
So when the alarms went off, you were orienteering the woods?
Yes, sirree. A good jog helps melt all the chow, you know?
But it doesn't make for a very convincing alibi.
Was a good thing I heard the sirens, too. I needed some confirmation where the regiment was. What was odd, though, was that they went on for like a whole 10 minutes. It was like there was an air raid going on or something. Not that I complain. Helped me navigate back to the regiment. Not that I was lost.
Of course you weren't.
We heard you had lunch with Lieutenant Victoria and Dr. Siegfried. Are you friends?
I'd say colleagues, more like. Victoria's a fine lady. She ain't stuffy and snot-nosed like some other academy officers, and she knows her trade inside out. I'm happy that she gets to run the show now that old Rockface kicked the bucket.
And Dr. Siegfried?
Gets on my nerves sometimes with his smart-ass attitude. But he's no soldier. No reason to judge the guy too hard by it. He knows what he does, and he does it well. Let it be known that Lieutenant ain't no girly gossip. But I think the two may be closer than they let on.
Oh, scandalous!
None of my business, really. I'm glad we got them to balance out Harvey, though.
What do you mean?
Some 4 years ago, the old cap retired, and we were left wondering which one of our officers was gonna fill his boots. Then, out of nowhere, the brass names that rock-faced Harvey from outside the regiment for the job. I don't know what qualifications he had, but they sure weren't in people skills. Dr. Siegfried and Lieutenant Victoria started working here on the same day Harvey took control. 2 good eggs help balance out 1 rotten, I guess.
So they all started working here on the same day, I see.
About those medals.
They're beautiful, now. I work my ass off for every single one of these. Proudly say that I can recognize and name every single medal awarded by the Allied nation in various armed forces. When it comes to medals and awards, Lieutenant's your man.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle. What?
Sorry, I was expecting something cool to happen for some reason.
You act so weird sometimes, Nick.
Says the spirit medium.
Hey, don't we have something he might be able to help with?
Oh yeah! Could you please help us identify a medal?
No problem. Show it to me and I'll tell you in a split second.
Here you go.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold it there, son! No, it can't be. Are you trying to pull some sort of sick joke on me, Buster?
No, what are you even talking about?
Don't say you don't recognize it.
Oh, I do recognize it, all right. Real question is, where the hell did you get this? Who does it belong to?
This is Captain Harvey's medal. His name is engraved on the back.
That explains a lot of things.
Can you just please tell us what it is?
You really are clueless. Fine. What you got there is called the Dove of Fidelity. That's one medal nobody ever wants to be awarded with, and I'll tell you why. It's also known as the Last Man Standing Medal, and Dove of Death.
The Dove of Death?
Precisely. This medal is awarded for the survivors of attacks or incidents that have wiped out nearly their entire unit. It's a way of sending the few remaining members off the field for good. It actually makes me feel a bit sorry for the man. Surprised he ever chose to wear a uniform again after that.
Do you have any idea what sort of incident it may have been?
This is pretty dead serious. I wouldn't dare start guessing wildly. The past is the past, anyway.
Not if it still affects the future. What if it's the reason Harvey committed suicide?
You'll be hard-pressed to prove something like that, son. You can't exactly ask the dead, can you?
Or can we, Maya?
Nick, I know what you're thinking, but it's out of the question for me to channel Captain Harvey's spirit, for several reasons. First, there are practical issues. Summoning the spirit of someone outside my immediate family requires a proper ceremony and a place. We don't have the time to prepare for it. Even if we did, I would refuse to do it. I do not want this to become another DL6.
Because spirits too can lie. I understand. We'll find another way.
Well, I have no idea what you two just went on about. I guess the second best thing would be to check out his service record, but I doubt Captain Bernard's going to let you. The man's so goddamn uptight about everything. You two have gotten me interested, so tell you what. You keep the kid from trouble for one more day, and old Lou's gonna look into this for you. See if I can find out anything.
Really? That would be amazing!
Call it morbid curiosity, but I want to get to the bottom of this as much as everybody else. I'm gonna get started right away. The faster, the faster. See you around.
We find ourselves at fate's mercy again. While people have agreed that Captain Harvey's death may have been a suicide, it's something that is extremely hard to prove with current evidence. We've learned some interesting facts, but the shroud of mystery still masks the true events of Absolution Day. For now, we're forced to see what Francisca's technical reinvestigation brings to the table and work with that. Hopefully we can use the results to our advantage. The only thing that is certain is that this battle is far from over.
I feel we're starting to run out of options here.
Oh, don't be like that. There's plenty of things we have yet to try.
That's right, Mr. Edgeworth. There has to be some creative way we haven't yet figured out.
Like what? Selling my soul to the devil for a plane ticket?
Did somebody mention selling souls?
I think so. Let's talk business.
And there goes the rest of my sanity.
What? No shock and awe?
Yeah! I'm disappointed. We used a considerable amount of hell for the pyrotechnics.
Well, I thought it was amazing.
Leata Garasu still does it better.
Tough crowd, huh? Anyway, behold and bow before Laharl, the overlord of the Netherworld, and his gorgeous vassal, Beauty Queen Etna.
Just get to the point.
People just don't take demonic overlords seriously these days.
I should just conquer the human world and teach them some proper respect. Remind me to add that to my to-do list.
Sure thing, Prince.
Now, about your soul. Want to swap it for this plane ticket? It'll get you on the next flight out of here.
And as an added bonus, you'll get a one-way ticket to the Netherworld once you kick the bucket. Absolutely free.
It was sarcasm.
You sure? I think you'd look dazzling as a prinny.
Okay, enough! This is our post-episode interlude. You can't just barge in and act like you own it. You're not even part of the series canon.
But we are part of the AU canon.
Yeah, after retcon.
That's just because Lord Iban didn't do his background research.
Still doesn't give you the right to mock things up.
Oh yeah? Just watch me. Roll the clip! Up in the sky! Look! It's a gargoyle. It's a flying warship. It's Super Solicitor!
What the?
Objecting faster than a speeding bullet, fabulous secret powers were revealed to this amazing stranger from the planet Earth the day he ingested tea made with radioactive leaves, leaving him an unquenchable thirst for justice!
Awesome!
Radioactivity doesn't work that way.
Shh! You're taking the fun out of it.
This hero, with a remarkable ability to use basic logic, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth.
So it basically comes down to me doing what I do in a mask and cape.
Only 3 others share this secret. His friend and ally, Commissioner Gumshoe, also known as the hero Badger Man, who lights up the night sky with the cravat signal, striking fear into the hearts of criminals everywhere.
Oh man, what are my powers?
being extremely poor and able to survive on nothing but instant noodles.
Hey!
Badgerman's sidekick, Robin Raven, a teenage mutant ninja.
Sweet! I can fly, right?
Of course.
What about X-ray vision?
No, that's just unrealistic. We're pushing the suspension of disbelief as is.
We had some in the first place?
And the final person who knows Solicitor Man's true identity is, of course, me, Master Narada Etna.
It's not much of a secret now that you've told everyone, is it?
I'm sure they can keep a secret. Together, our heroes form the tenacious trio. In the chill of the night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, they arrive just in time. Tonight's episode, the nefarious villain Captain Calm has trapped our heroes in the airport of perilous doom with a seemingly impenetrable language barrier. Will our heroes manage to escape? Will the Robin Raven ever confess her love? Will Badgerman find his missing left sock? Will I stop asking these questions? Only time will tell. So tune up next time for another episode of the incredible adventures of Super Solicitor and Friends. In the meantime, you can join Capcom Unity to support our heroes. And remember, kids, only you can prevent forest fires.